Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host Ijama and I thank you for joining me for yet another episode of the podcast. And this week we're going back again to 2014 with my guest Lauree Sayne. She runs, I should say, Dancing Dish and Decor. And I wanted to highlight this episode because what I liked is that Lauree sells vintage items in her Etsy shop. And if you're a new seller and you're struggling to find your place on Etsy, it's not just a handmade market. It's, as you probably know, also a home for selling vintage items. And Lauree's shop is unique in that not only does she sell vintage items, but she sells repurposed and handmade, or some people call it upcycled items. And so I want you to hear her story and just hear how she came about running her shop, opening up her business, and how she in particular handles working a full-time job and running the Etsy shop. Now, this conversation we had was back in 2014. So Lauree's shop has grown in the meantime between then and now. So I would love for you to go check out what she's doing now. Again, it just shows what is possible with Etsy as you grow and your business grows, how you can change and just pivot based on what the market is telling you. At the time, Lauree also was the team captain of an Etsy team called Sumner Etsy, and actually she still is. So you'll hear us talk about that as well. Sometimes people ask about Etsy teams and wonder how to pick one, what the benefit of belonging to one is. So we'll touch on that in this conversation, and I hope you find it helpful, and I will be back next week.
Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and with me, I have Lauree. Lauree runs the Etsy shop, Dancing Dish and Decor, and I'm particularly happy to talk to her because I am so curious to hear how she makes what she makes. So, hi, Lauree.
Hello, Ijama. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming on and being my guest. So Lauree's shop, again, is called Dancing Dish and Decor, and she opened her shop in October 2013, on October 20th. So she's been open for less than a year. She has 10 sales, 2 5-star reviews, and 124 admirers. So Lauree, you're a relatively new seller, so I'm so happy to talk to you because I like hearing how things are going from people who are just starting out and kind of just still learning and figuring Etsy out. So this is going to be good. How did you first discover Etsy, actually?
Actually, a couple years ago, someone mentioned it to me, and I looked at it a couple times, and I was like, oh, I just like to order things off Amazon. I'm not going to get involved with this. And then my sister, her husband is a photographer, and she started an Etsy store. So I went on there to buy something from her to support her. And they've since closed their shop. But while I was there, I browsed.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with lots of things.
Yes.
So then I decided I wanted to open a store.
Okay. Now, when you decided to open the store, did you know what you wanted to sell?
I did, because it was kind of an evolution of what I'm doing. We moved in 2012 to this house, and it's more than double the size of the house that we were in. So all of a sudden I had all of this decorating to do. And I started making things, and I would make something and love it and then sell it or give it away. And I thought, I need to have an online shop. So Etsy was a perfect fit for that.
How were you selling before you got onto Etsy?
Like to friends and people at church.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. And can you tell us specifically what it is you sell in your shop?
Well, my main product line is tiered plates, cake plates, and some other unusual dishes. Some of them are to be candle holders or to display jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also decorate chargers for your table or to display. And those do pretty well, actually. Last Christmas, I did really well selling those.
Okay.
Um, and people like them because they can be personalized.
Yeah. Can you explain what the chargers are?
Well, for a really formal table, a lot of times you'll have a charger under your place setting.
Right.
And so they look good. Like I have some on my table that are silver, and they have a blue S and a pretty swirly white design.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're fun for that. But you can also do all kinds of different designs on them. You can put verses and quotes and different things like that and display them on an easel.
Yeah. And I see that for some of them you have, like, I'm looking at the family one right now where you have one for mom, dad, and then each of the kids.
Do you like those?
I do. I think it's kind of cute. So everyone has their own, and, then there won't be any fighting amongst, the younger ones because everyone knows what's theirs.
Well, and I actually had an idea of, when you sit down for a family meal, everybody usually sits in the same seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of personalizes their own place setting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very nice. So, you opened your Etsy shop on October 20th, 2013. What motivated you to finally take that step and actually open your Etsy shop?
I just really enjoyed it,
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed making things, and people seem to like them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to do something more than just locally. And I'm very fascinated with social media and SEO and websites and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to do something online.
Okay. And I'm going to put links to Lauree's Etsy shop. And I want to talk about how you make the tiered plates, because I'll be honest, when I first saw them, I thought, oh, okay, I guess she glues them together. But right before we started recording, Lauree was explaining that she actually drills them. So can you tell us how you do that? Because I'm so intrigued as to how you drill china without just shattering it into, little pieces.
Well, I'm a little nervous to say this, but I've never broken a plate yet. So I hope that I'm not jinxing myself.
Yeah.
When I first started, of course, I went to YouTube to try to figure it out, and people do have YouTube videos on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just used a regular drill and a special drill bit to start with, but it took forever.
Hmm.
And I would be so cautious. So then I invested in a Dremel, and I use that. It takes me about 45 minutes to make a complete plate stand.
Wow.
A 3-tiered one. And that's marking it, because you want to find the center.
Mm-hmm.
And drilling the 3 pieces and putting it together and cleaning it and everything.
Wow.
But,
sorry, go on.
Well, it does get a little dusty,
Mm-hmm.
because you're drilling the china. So I do that in the garage. Plus I wear ear protection because it's a very high pitch when you drill.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I did not think about that at first.
Mm.
So
do you have to wear?
One time
sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. That's one time I can't listen to your podcast.
When you're drilling, huh?
Right.
Nice. Do you have to wear safety goggles just to protect your eyes from the dish dust?
I do.
Yeah.
Just in case, because you know how when glass breaks, it just shatters and goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm very cautious. I wear the goggles and the protection, and I try to make sure that I have everything cleared away and level and just very safety conscious.
Yeah. And so the tiered plate stands can be used for decoration or for serving. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And when you drill through them, do you put the center pole right through the middle of all three and then it just holds them in place?
Well, when I use the hardware, there's it's in three pieces. So there's a bottom screw and then one stem which screws into the next stem, which screws into the next stem.
Oh,
so the plates go in between.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that's how I ship them too, because it would be really difficult to ship them put together.
Okay. So when someone buys them, then they just they assemble it.
Right.
Okay.
And what I love about the 3-tiered one is you don't have to use all 3 tiers. Like if you just wanted to use 2 tiers for a certain occasion or 1 tier, you can redesign it and use it different ways.
Okay.
For whatever function you're doing.
Okay, that makes sense. And I do see some single tiered ones. Do you recommend hand washing only?
Yes.
Okay, definitely.
In fact, if it's china, you should always hand wash it, whether it's been drilled or not.
Okay. Okay, good to know. I'm so intrigued by this. I love the designs. I always
Thank you.
I like going to thrift stores. And I like to look at the dishes. I don't really buy them. I just like looking at them because, you can only have so many dishes. And it's so nice to see them repurposed for something so useful and, just given a whole new life again. I like the whole idea of just bringing new life to something that, and in a new way, than what it was before. So let's see. Do you have a job outside of Etsy?
I do. Yeah. I am an IT girl.
You are?
Yes.
Oh, wow. This is like polar opposites, your creative side and then your very technical. Interesting.
I am. And I work at a corporate office here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I manage the service desk and our network guy. And it's a very challenging and stressful job because if I make the wrong decision, the whole company can't work.
Huh.
So that was another reason why I started the dancing dish business, because I really missed being creative.
Right.
And I needed that outlet.
Okay. Wow, that does make perfect sense. Now, is your goal to one day create full time and sell on Etsy full time, or are you happy with just using this as an outlet for your creativity and working IT the rest of the time?
I am open to possibilities.
Okay.
I don't want to be in IT the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I am almost 49 years old, so retirement is looming at some point.
Right.
But I will always stay busy. So I would probably do this part-time as long as I'm able to drill china.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, good. So how do you manage your time between working full-time and then running an Etsy shop?
I use a calendar and I use to-do lists, and I should give my husband kudos because he does a lot around the house.
Mm-hmm.
And if he weren't helping with all of those tasks, then I would not have time to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
But he works from home full time. So he cooks dinner and he does the laundry, and he's just wonderful.
Wow. That is very helpful.
It is. And so there's that whole layer that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Of things around the house. So that gives me some time. But I spend 15 or 20 minutes in the morning doing just social media and working on my SEO.
Okay.
And and I have 1 or 2 nights a week that I create.
Okay. When you say you create, when you're actually making the dishes or other things
Right,
that are going to go on sale in your shop.
right.
Okay. Now I noticed also you have a custom logo.
I do.
Yeah. Is that a
Um,
new line that you're branching out into?
Actually, I did that for my sister.
Okay.
That is her husband's logo,
Okay.
and they wanted some of those for their vehicles. And it was really simple for me to do. And so I thought, well, I will put this in my shop and see if anyone else is interested.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So when you're creating a new item, what inspires you as far as design goes and what you want to make?
I get a lot of inspiration off of Pinterest.
Oh
You
yeah.
probably you probably never hear that. Um,
But that makes sense though.
the whole reason I named the shop Dancing Dish was like you referenced earlier, of taking something and repurposing it and bringing it a new life.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say dancing into a new life,
Mm.
a new purpose. Um, so I get inspired at with antique stores and thrift shopping and um, just looking for different color combinations and that kind of thing.
Okay. And do you spend any time looking at other Etsy shops that sell things similar to what you sell?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I love some of them so much. But the main reason I look is because I want to make sure that my pricing is appropriate.
Okay. Okay. Um, so far, since in the time you've been on Etsy, have you had any bad or negative experiences?
I have not. It's been very good. And
Good.
the whole Etsy community to me, both the sellers and the buyers, it's just a happy, helpful, good community.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And for the most part, I think that's what most sellers say. I mean, every once in a while you will have that one experience. But yeah, for the most part, it's always nice to hear that most sellers have positive experiences on Etsy. So far, would you say that selling on Etsy has had the impact that you expected it would have on your business or even personally?
Yes. As a mom and a wife and an employee, um, and for all women, I think that in general, we just don't do enough for ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
this is my thing, and it's something I'm doing for myself. And
Right.
each success is up to me.
Yeah.
I get a lot of satisfaction from it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important too. Are your kids proud of you when they see what you're doing?
Well, I have one daughter, and she is proud of me. And she's also the person I let critique. I will put something together and get her opinion.
And so she
I'm not
gives it.
paying her for that, though.
That could be a tax write-off if you did.
Right.
All right. So as far as shop promotion, how have you promoted your shop or how do you promote your shop?
I use Facebook. I
Okay.
have a Facebook page,
Okay.
Twitter, Pinterest, and the Etsy team activities.
Okay. So, with regard to social media, and I want to talk about the Etsy teams too. Social media, which one do you find is the best, works the best for helping to promote your shop? Facebook, Pinterest, or Twitter?
I think Facebook,
Okay.
partially because, of course, at first my friends liked my page, and now I can see their friends are liking my
Mm-hmm.
page, and I get some feedback on pictures that I post. Um, and I post like projects in progress pictures and before and
Oh,
afters and
nice.
things that I do in my home for myself.
Yeah.
but also like home decor tips and links for ideas for entertaining and do-it-yourself projects and that kind of thing. So I try to make my Facebook page kind of like a short blog for everyone.
Okay. And do you find that you have the most interaction on Facebook with your followers, or do you find that you interact more with people on the other social media outlets that you are on?
It's definitely Facebook, but I am trying to master Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, I know they're so different too. It's like you need a mindset shift when you're going from one to the other.
Right.
Right. Because Facebook can be, I guess, in a way, more conversational. But then again, with Twitter, if you're there in the moment, it can also be. Yeah, it's social media is just, I don't know. I need like a whole class on each one.
I do too.
Yeah. How about Pinterest? Do you pretty much just pin your new listings?
I pin my listings. I pin other people's listings.
Okay.
I pin ideas of things that I might want to try to do for my shop.
Okay.
How
do you pin an idea?
Well, if I find a picture of something on the web, I'll pin it.
Okay.
And I'm a member of a couple of, I think you call them like shared boards.
Oh yeah, the group boards.
Yes. But I'm a member of a couple of those that are Etsy related.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So I'll post my things, my treasuries, some team treasuries, different things like that.
Okay. Now with the Etsy teams, how did you decide which one or ones you wanted to belong to?
I was just playing on Etsy one day and I was like, what are these teams? What is this? And I started reading a few of them. So I joined a couple that looked like they were very active.
Yeah.
And so FWB, which is Friends with Benefits, and Crazy Ads team are two that I'm members of, and I've started a team myself.
Oh, you have?
Yes, it's called Sumner Etsyans.
Sumner?
Yes, because I live in Sumner County.
Okay.
And my goal with that team is to find other Etsyans in this area. They don't have to live in Sumner County, but in this area, so that we can get together and share ideas, and help each other with some local activities, like local craft fairs and that kind of thing.
Oh, that would be excellent. How is that working out?
I just started the team a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And so I'm still trying to just build membership, and I haven't had any real team activities.
Okay.
I did meet with a couple ladies who have a shop that they're co-owners, and they do jewelry. And we had a great time. We spent like an hour and a half talking about SEO and how to do your listings and your tags and that kind of thing.
That's excellent. I like it when the teams go from online to in person, and you really only get that with the regional teams. And I think it's so helpful because it really helps to build a community. I'm in San Francisco, and the San Francisco Etsy team is so active and very vibrant. And I'm so glad you're doing one for your area, because it will really help once you find people around you, and everyone can feed off each other's knowledge and creativity. Excellent. Okay.
I'm very excited about it.
Oh, good. So is it possible to link directly to your team page? Because if so, I want to put a link in the blog post, in the show notes, so that if someone who's in your area hears this, they can link directly they can find your team. So I'll put that in the blog post.
Okay, and I can send it to you.
Okay, perfect. So outside of social media, do you have a website or a blog that you also run?
I do not have a blog, and I don't really have a website. I did buy the domain name for dancingdishanddecor.com,
Oh, okay.
but I have it pointed to my Etsy store.
Okay.
And the reason I did that was because I can print that on business cards or anything,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and they'll go right to my Etsy store.
Okay.
And then in the future, when I switch that to a website, that it'll already be in their favorites and
Right.
in use.
Okay. So your plan is to one day have a website for your shop.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, good. How much time in a week would you say you spend on your Etsy shop?
A really good week when I have really a lot of time to do it, probably 15 hours.
Okay.
But most weeks, about 5 hours, I will spend on social media and SEO and team activities. Some weeks I don't get to be creative at all, which is so boring and blah.
Yeah.
But my husband is, he plays guitar, and he is usually at rehearsal on Thursday nights with one particular band that he's with. So I always reserve that time for my creative time.
Okay.
And so I always plan to spend the evening in the garage. So that's another 4 or 5 hours that I can carve out for that.
Okay. Oh, good. Have there been any points in time where you've wanted to quit Etsy or close your shop?
No.
Right.
No, I love it.
Oh, good. So when you get a new idea for something new that you want to create, about how much time does it take between when the idea comes to you to actually executing it, creating it, and then listing it on Etsy?
If it's the tiered dishes, it does not take long at all. In 45 minutes, I can do that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's the vinyl things that I do where I decorate the tiles and the chargers and that kind of thing. Sometimes that takes me longer. In fact, if you saw the ones that I posted, I think I did those this morning, that are like the little stick people on the chargers.
The stick people.
Like you.
Oh, yeah.
I had that idea weeks and weeks ago. And sometimes when I have an idea, even though I know it's a great idea, I get just stuck in, am I doing this right? Is anyone going to like this? And that kind of thing.
And so so do you hold off on creating?
Sometimes I will, until I really feel sure about it.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then you run it by your daughter just for the final approval, huh?
I do, yes.
Yeah. Do you ever find that you get in a creative rut where you're just not getting any fresh new ideas?
No, in fact, I keep a list of ideas because
nice.
I don't always have time to carry them out. But I keep a list, and I have things stacked in my piles of these are ready for me to do a project.
Yeah.
So that, when my Thursday night comes, I can do them.
Yes. Oh, nice. That's a good idea. So is this like a physical list that you have with you? So when something comes to you, you just write it down or you put it in your phone or something like that?
Right. Or I'll take a picture, like if I'm at an antique store or a craft show and I see something. Sometimes there's a couple of different websites that I buy online and I'll be searching. Of course, Etsy's one of them. And I'll see something, I'm like, oh, I want to do something like that. And I'll take a screenshot of it.
Okay.
So I have a folder of ideas.
Okay. I think that's a good tip. Because somebody else was just saying that the other day to me, because I was saying, I want to write some more. And we're like, when an idea comes to you, just write it down. So when you do sit down to write or do whatever it is you want to do, you remember, you don't have to try and, it's written down. You don't have to try and remember what it was.
Right.
So far, what would you say is one lesson that you've learned the hard way on Etsy, if any?
Actually, I do have one. After you invited me to be on your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
I went through and contacted all of my customers that have not left a review because I wanted to make sure that those were on there.
Yeah.
And I did not know that if it's been longer than 60 days, they can't leave a review.
Oh. Oh.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually. Really? So after 60 days, it doesn't matter what, they just can't say anything?
Right. The link is gone for them to do the review.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So now you know to ask for reviews earlier on.
Right.
Well,
And that's a really hard thing to do.
yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And I know that because I buy on Etsy quite a bit, and Etsy will send you an email if you bought something and say you can now leave a review for this, or go ahead and leave a review, talk about your experience. They do prompt you. It's just the once, and I know, and I'm bad about this sometimes. If I see the email and I'm not in a place, or it's not a time where I can just sit down and quickly say, oh yeah, I forgot I bought this, it was great, I really liked it, this, that, and the other. It slips my mind, and they don't remind you. And honestly, if a seller were to send me a quick email and say, was everything okay? Were you happy with the product? That would trigger me to go back on there and leave a review. And I wouldn't mind getting, that type of an email. Is that something you think you're going to start doing?
I think I will.
Yeah.
I think so. And I've had some good feedback that they just never left actual feedback. They sent a message. And I get so excited when I have a sale that I cannot wait to ship the item.
Yeah.
And even though I know they get the message saying your item has shipped, I send them a message saying, I hope you really enjoy this. Please let me know. And then like 2 days later, I'm clicking the tracking and I'll send them a message. It's in transit. And I always ask them to take pictures. I want, like one lady bought 5 tiered plate stands for her tea shop. And I want pictures of them in use in her shop.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet.
Okay. Oh, see, so you're almost there. You communicate with them up until they get it.
Right.
Except for when it's time to, definitely ask for feedback. I wish, I shouldn't say I wish, because I should take responsibility and leave the feedback when I get what I get, when I buy stuff. But yes, I think most buyers wouldn't mind, especially if they're happy with the product, wouldn't mind just getting a nice reminder, to say something, or even if it's just asking, were you happy with what you got? That would remind me to go and say I was happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if someone is thinking about selling on Etsy and they're kind of sitting on the fence right now, what advice would you give them?
I would ask them what is holding them back. And let them know that it's very simple. The very worst thing that you can do is open a shop and never sell anything.
Yeah. Yep.
And you didn't really lose anything. It's 20 cents to list something. It's not difficult at all. Etsy makes it so easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you found that it's easy to get information when you have questions about things that you're struggling with?
Oh, super easy.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I can ask somebody on one of the teams that I'm involved with, or the different forums. I don't even usually have to ask. I can usually just search and find. And that's how I found the thing about the 60 days on the reviews. Because I needed to review something and I couldn't find the button.
Oh, right.
And so I researched, and that's how I found that. So I feel really bad because I didn't leave a review.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think we've all done that. Okay. Well, good to know. Yeah, that was news to me, the 60 days thing. Now, let's say Etsy asked you if there was any feature that they currently don't offer that you would like to see offered. What would you suggest?
The only thing I would like to see is for the mobile version of Etsy to function more like the desktop version.
Yeah, it's missing some functionality. Mm-hmm. Like what?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like on my iPad, I use Etsy in Safari
Mm-hmm.
so that I can have all that functionality. But when I'm using my phone, you know, you lose a lot.
Yeah.
And to make treasuries easier to build.
Oh, I know. Do you always have to open two windows, two tabs to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I found this tool. It's called Treasury Box. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't. What's that?
I think the name of the website is britneysbest.com. But she created this treasury box that goes on your toolbar if you're using Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
And you can add items. You can add the 16 items to the treasury box. And then there's a button that says Create Treasury. And when you do that, when you finish the treasury, it sends a notification to all the sellers that you have put one of their items in your treasury.
Oh.
It's really cool.
So you make the treasury on the Britney's Best website?
Actually, you download a button for your toolbar from her website.
Uh-huh.
And so every time you see an item on Etsy that you want to add, you click your treasury box.
Oh, okay.
And then once you have your treasury done, there's another button that you click. But it only works in Chrome.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like a Pinterest type of thing-ish?
Yes, that's a good way to explain it.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. How do you spell Britney's Best?
It's B as in boy,
Uh-huh.
RITTANYSBEST.com.
Okay. I'll include a link to that in the show notes for the blog post so people can check it out.
Good. I hope you invite her to be one of your guests too.
Oh, does she sell on Etsy? Well, I guess she would if she had this tool.
Her tagline on her website is surviving and thriving on Etsy.
Nice. I like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Check it out.
I will. So, Lauree, what's the best way people can reach you if they want to get a hold of you?
Really, a convo on Etsy.
Okay.
Is the best way. I check it all the time.
This is true because when I contacted Lauree, she responded almost immediately. So she does check it all the time. Okay, so I'll have a link to Lauree's Etsy shop. Again, it's Dancing Dish and Decor in the show notes. And if you want to reach her, just send her a convo. Lauree, thank you so much for being my guest on the podcast this week. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you so much, Ijama. I have totally been humbled by it and totally appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.